John Wick, probably the best action franchise out there, and my personal favourite franchise. 4 movies of beautiful cinematography, enriched world building, great acting by most people, and most of all, pure action. The action in John Wick is on par with The Raid. Amazing choreography, amazing camera work, and brutal. Today I'll be ranking the films of the franchise. So here we go. This is all just my opinion, so if you don't agree, that's fine. In last place, John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum. John Wick 3 is by no means a bad movie, it's actually a great one. It has some of the best action and best cinematography of the franchise. It's probably one of the best action movies ever made. So why is it last place? The plot. This film by far has the weakest story of the franchise. John goes to someone for a favour, so he can get someone else to ask them for a favour, to see someone else for a favour. And while it features non-stop action with John trying to fight off all the assassins, trying to kill him for a bounty, and also deepens the lore a lot, it has the weakest story and the least emotional connection, which is why it is in last place for me. That and also, the other films are just even better. In third place, John Wick, the one that started it all. The first John Wick is no doubt by now an all-time classic. It's a brilliant action movie with a simple, emotional plot, revitalizing the entire genre with long shots, steady cam, and great cinematography, while also introducing a deep and rich criminal underworld. It's a classic, but the film stumbles a bit at the climax. John kills Yosef before the third act. He got his revenge. The entire reason the movie started has finished, but the movie hasn't finished. Vigo kills his friend Marcus, and we get a climax between John and Vigo. There's car chases, John is drifting and shooting, he has a cool fist fight with Vigo in the rain, and the cinematography is pretty good. But compared to the nightclub shootout and the house invasion, this fight just seems lackluster and unnecessary. He killed Yosef and got his revenge. Seems kinda weird for the movie to keep going and have John fight an unathletic 50-year-old man as the climax. As good and as much of a classic this film is, the third act really brings it down just a bit. In second place, John Wick Chapter 2. John Wick 2. What isn't there to praise? The opening garage fight? The coronation shootout? The catacombs? The subway knife fight? The museum shootout? The Hall of Mirrors? The pencil kills? It's easily one of the best action movies ever made. And though the plot isn't as emotional as the first, it's still pretty effective, as you can feel the anger John has from getting completely dragged back into the assassin world again, especially in that scream. It's an amazing, really enjoyable action movie. Oh yeah, we don't talk about this stuff. Nah. This is why it's not in first place. And first place, John Wick 4 isn't an action movie. It's an action masterpiece. An action odyssey. It's beautiful, heartfelt, well acted, and most of all, the action is unbelievable. I mean, the Osaka fight was already perfect at the start. The Berlin fight was phenomenal. I thought, it had to have peaked by then. This must be the peak, you can't get better than this. I was wrong. The entire last 40 minutes of this movie are just pure, unparalleled, beautiful action. It's almost like poetry. I've seen lots of people say this one has the least emotional connection out of the franchise, making it feel less impactful. I disagree. For me, this is the most emotional one. From the start, you have John asking the Elder for his ring back, because all he still wants is just a memory of his wife. Then in Osaka, even though it's our first time seeing Hiroyuki Sanada, him and John feel like they've been friends for decades, as they have a pretty sincere conversation about their lives. But the church scene before the third act is easily the most emotional. It reminds you what John is really fighting all this for. He doesn't really care about the table, he just wants to have peace and reminisce about his wife. Even in his, supposedly, last moments, he only thinks about his wife, and his last word was her name. It's the most emotional and heartfelt film in the franchise for me, and while the action is easily some of, if not the best action I've ever seen, it's the emotional connection in all the death, the humanity in all the absurdity that makes this my favourite. And there you have it. That's my rankings of the John Wick franchise. Will we get more John Wick? Maybe. It seems likely. Would I watch another?
Yeah.